Good morning, Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Dr. Gilmore, and you are tuned in to What's Going On, where we talk about what's going on in our community, in our state, the nation, the world. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This morning, I have a very special guest that has joined me. He's someone that's been in my life since I was a child. Sunday school teacher, a mentor, and just a prayer warrior for my family. And I have with me the Pastor Donald Hunter. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Life is good. It's always good to run into you.
Yes, God bless.
Yeah, and when we run into each other, we always run into each other in good circles where
Yes,
good
sir.
things are happening.
Yes, sir.
And this morning, we've come together to talk about some good things that are happening. But first, for the one or two people in the listening audience that may not know who you are, tell folks who you are, Pastor, a little bit about your background, your service, and so that folks listening to know who the Pastor Donald Hunter is.
Yes, I'm Pastor Donald Hunter of the New Beginning Baptist Church here in Baton Rouge at 7815 White Street. And my background primarily is in education. I spent 25 years in state government, 18 in the Division of Research and Development. And when I left the state government, I created a research company by the name of Evaluative and Development Services, Inc. And then we got into doing a lot of research on the family, on our students' grades, the suspensions, health disparities, and all of these things. And so we've sort of shaped ministries and things after that. And I had the privilege and honor of sitting down with our leaders of the church, and it has been a rewarding experience for me.
Good. And he's being very humble about his work, listening audience. His research and his work has impacted lives. He doesn't just study the issue. He actually comes up with some recommendations and implementations, and that's his legacy, and that's what we appreciate most about you.
Thank you
Pastor
so much.
Hunter. And I do want to plug, because I do support you in your research and your theories and your application to the importance of the black family.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about, and I know this is not what you came here for,
Yes.
but I think it'll be a blessing for folks in here. Talk about your thoughts and your research and your ideas around the importance of the family.
Well, it's a very delicate subject, and we have to approach it with a certain level of, I would say, intimacy, letting people know that you're doing whatever you're doing out of love, and your interest is to assure that our children grow up and develop to the greatest of their potentials.
Yes.
Of course, right now, 75% of our families are absent of the father. And in those single-parent homes, 44.4% are actually living in poverty. In a two-parent black family, the poverty rate is about half, at 19%. But when we say poverty, we are actually speaking of heightened levels of stress in the home.
Trauma.
Where there's a difficulty in meeting those basic needs, whether it's the rent or utilities or paying the water bills, insurance on cars. All of that becomes a very difficult challenge for families. It's particularly our single parent families. But here's where it directly affects our children in school. When children are exposed to heightened levels of stress, their brain, according to Jeff Nagel of Tulane University, produce a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that interferes with the child's ability to be attentive. It's the actual hormone that you and I feel when someone pull a gun on us.
Yes.
Or you see a snake,
Fear.
all of a sudden your adrenaline starts. That's where our children are naturally coming from homes where there are heightened levels of stress. Well, in the schools, that's being identified as attention deficit disorders. when in fact there's nothing wrong with the child.
There's nothing wrong.
It is the environment.
Yes.
And so unless we factor in the environment into our formula for education and excellence for a very large population of our children across the state, whatever that intervention is, you're going to fall short because you have not factored in what I believe is a significant variable, and it will determine the level of outcome that you will be able to have as it relates to your intervention.
Absolutely. So we're here with Pastor Donald Hunter, and again, he has a long history in research as well as implementation of programs and ideas to build strong families, so that strong families then result into strong children,
Yes.
who then grow up to
Yes.
become strong adults.
Yes.
And that kind of leads to, we put out the flyer. You're here today to talk about the black church and the governor's race.
Yes, sir.
What does the black church
How does
and the
all that
governor's
fit
race
together?
fit together? Okay.
Well, the fact is that we have a gubernatorial forum that will be held July the 8th from 11 to 1 o'clock at the Southern University Mini Dome. Okay. And we are calling on all of our churches to bring their membership because numbers is power.
Yes.
And if there was ever a time that we needed to come together and unite in the body as our head or our leaderships have united, that time is now. We are in uncharted waters because never before in history of the state of Louisiana has the Louisiana State Baptist Convention, the Greater Louisiana State Convention, the Louisiana Home and Foreign Mission with President S.C. Dixon, the AME Church with Bishop Stafford Wicker, and I didn't mention President Alexander and Ricky Carter of those two Baptist interventions, and Bishop Grant and Gregory Cooper of the Full Gospel Church, and yes, Bishop James Proctor of the Church of God in Christ.
Wow.
They have united. And whenever we unite, here's what I believe. When they united, something was birthed into being that could not exist as long as they were separated. And so now we are in new ground. We're on new ground. We are, so to speak, in uncharted waters, because never before in history of the state of Louisiana has these church ecumenical groups, or a church affiliation, some would say, have come together.
Wow.
And out of that unity, something was birthed into being that places us in the position to call for a gubernatorial forum. Now, let me say that the forum itself is the beginning of a movement. Regardless to who's elected governor, we still have to deal with these 7 issues that our leaders have given us to focus on, regardless.
Right.
It can't be subject to whether or not we are successful in whatever candidate that we are seeking to be with. However, this forum is not political, and it is not a debate. It is a forum where we would discuss 7 different issues, and really to get the input of the gubernatorial candidates on those issues. For example, one question would be, if you are elected governor, would you be willing to have your administration to reflect the demographics of this state? What's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing wrong
We
with that.
represent 1/3 of the voting populace. Whoever is elected governor, they're elected governor to the entire state of Louisiana, and not just a segment of the state of Louisiana. And therefore, 1/3 of your population has an issue, and some issues, 7 of them, that we would like to discuss with those candidates.
Very good.
There will be no questions from the audience. It will be orderly. We have Sylvia Witherspoon, who will actually be our moderator.
Okay. Very good.
We will have a panel of 6 different persons representing the 6 church affiliations.
Wow.
And we have this steering committee that is composed of some very talented and very well educated individuals, most of which are from Southern University.
Wow, I've been doing this political thing for over 20 years in my lifetime,
Yes,
and
sir.
I've never heard of such a unification
Yes,
of
sir.
church associations and affiliations.
That is correct.
Coming together around not only this governor's race, but
Yes, sir.
around issues that matter most to our state.
That is correct.
I think this is absolutely fantastic, Pastor Hunter.
Yes, sir.
Repeat that date and location for those that may have missed it.
That date is July the 8th. At 11 a.m., we will be at the Southern University Mini Dome, and we're asking the black church to show up in numbers.
Absolutely. So if you are a person that worships here in Baton Rouge at an African American church, there is a forum that is being held where candidates for governor will be attending to talk about and discuss issues that matter most to us.
Yes, sir.
Can you mention any? Have you got any confirmations yet back from
Yes.
the gubernatorial candidate?
Yes. Actually, gubernatorial candidate Landy, gubernatorial candidate Nelson, and Shorter have all committed along with Sean.
Okay, gotcha.
We're
So you have
still
four.
waiting on confirmation from Waggaspat, and we have received notification that Landry will not be participating.
Okay. Well, we know who's going to be there, and I want to applaud all of those. Again, I've said it once
Yes, sir.
before. This is, as you stated, uncharted territory.
Yes, sir.
This is something that, at least in my lifetime, I've never seen where so many associations of churches
Yes, sir.
come together and say, let's bond and let's unite.
Yes, sir.
For the African American people of this state.
Yes,
Of this
yes.
state.
Yes, and you know, there's strength in unity.
Absolutely.
And when we consider who God is,
Yes.
and excuse me,
No problem.
and the fact that He is one.
Yes.
There's a word in the New Testament scripture. It's called one accord, or the Greek word hamartolatum. And whenever we position ourselves to be in complete agreement with one another, we've actually positioned ourselves to the best possible place
Yes.
that we can be
Yes.
to affect the changes in our lives. Whether you are an individual, if you have this oneness in you, in other words, that you're not here on the right side today and the left side tomorrow, but that you are a person that anyone would know that this is how I'm going to stand. And then you look at the marriage. When you have a marriage that is one, it is the best possible marriage that it could be. When you have a church that is one, in fact, being in one accord is the prerequisite to being endowed with divine power.
And so God has sent you all
Yes,
as
sir.
our black church leaders
Yes,
to
sir.
be on one accord.
Yes, sir.
And that one accord will be exemplified on July 8th
That is
at
correct.
the Mini Dome
Yes, sir.
at 11 o'clock,
Yes, sir.
where we will be discussing and hearing conversations and words from the candidates who are running for governor. I want everybody to put it on your calendar. I want to see you there. I want to see you in the house representing your church, representing your family, representing yourself.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
representing your vote.
Yes, sir.
July 8th in the Mini Dome.
Yes, sir.
Everybody in Baton Rouge.
Yes, sir.
Let's be there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again, Pastor, for coming on.
Yes, sir.
I look forward to having you on more.
Yes,
to
sir.
talk about all the great research and ideas that you have
Be
about
more than happy
strengthening
to come.
our black families and the black community.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, listening audience. Please, please, please share this. Share what you've just heard on your social media page. Let folks know to put it on their calendar. Let's hear from the gubernatorial candidates through this unification of black church leaders and associations in our community that have come together to host this event. Y'all, let's show up at the Mini Dome on July 8th. Thank you all so much for listening, and have a great rest of your day. God bless.
God bless. Thank you so much. Man.